Welcome back, everyone, to Highlighted in All Sports Culture podcast. Me and Sam are back with another episode, our final takeaway Tuesday of the season. This is our second year doing it. It's coming to an end, Sam, and we have a lot to discuss regarding the Super Bowl. We'll get into every aspect of that. But first off, I want to announce that we are going to be making a YouTube channel for our podcasts that you can check those out on. So make sure you check out that. Probably haven't made it yet, but I'm assuming it'll be called just ASC Highlighted, All Sports Culture Highlighted. It'll be something along the lines, but check on our Instagram. We'll give further details about it. Make sure to follow us on TikTok for ASC Highlighted. That's where we post some clips from the podcast. And any other news regarding the podcast, or did I cover everything?
Sully's never coming back. That is also a big detail.
It seems like
never ever. We're banning him. He's just banned. He's gone. He died. He literally passed away.
I genuinely want to know, for the people who do listen to this, how much they enjoy or not enjoy Sully being on. I would love to do a survey. So if you want to help out in this group survey, DM us and let us know what you enjoy. Me and Sam, or me, Sam, and Sully.
And even. Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say, if you don't like Sully, we'll kick him off. It'll be as simple as that.
He already is kicked off. That's the point.
Exactly.
But I feel like in the past year, we probably haven't gone more than 2 episodes in a row with all 3 of us being on, because I feel like we have so much scheduling conflicts.
Seriously. Busy people in the prime of their lives. Early 20s. I'm almost there. I'm almost in my early 20s.
You're almost there.
Just got to wait 6 more months.
I thought you were 18.
19, man.
You're 19?
Yeah.
God, you're
crazy, man.
I keep thinking you're younger. Wait, so your birthday's in summer?
Yeah.
So that means you were. So you went in. You went in late. Ooh.
To what?
Tough. High school or elementary school? Because I'm a June birthday. And I was the youngest kid in my grade every year.
Right. I'm one of the oldest in my grade.
Yeah. That sucks. That genuinely sucks.
No. It can be good. My junior year, I'll be 21. You got to look forward to that aspect of it. Not for any particular reason. Anyway.
Oh, really?
Let's talk about the Super Bowl, Sam. Are you good with that? You want to talk about that?
Of course. Biggest game of the year.
So if you're okay with this, gonna for 5 or 10 minutes just kind of talk about the game, and then we'll get into further details. I'll ask you some questions, and then with that we'll kind of just wing it, but there's a lot to go over, so let's get to it. But first off, I do want to say, because of Sunday's game, I have officially retired from sports betting. You guys wish I was kidding. I'm not. It's over.
Bro's gonna have a Logic-esque retirement, because it's gonna last probably 2 months.
It's over. I had a friend. Not even
March
kidding.
Madness is gonna come, and you're gonna go right back.
I had a friend. Not even kidding. 1:30 today, he calls me. We used to. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I bet a shit ton, and that, right? And he calls me, and I used to ride every bet with him. We'd talk about it every day. And he calls me. He's like, "All right, so I have this amazing bet that you're going to come out of retirement for." And I'm like, I'm not coming out of retirement. He tells me, and he's on the phone with me for 30 minutes. He's like, "Nah, man, you can't. It's 48 hours. That's been a long time." I'm like, "No, I'm done." So I'm proud of myself. I've made it this far. I'm going to continue making progress. It's just I'm in a rehab, except it's for sports betting instead of alcohol. So
Kurt, why don't you tell the viewers or the listeners what all the bets you placed for?
I would love to.
And tell us what you hit and what you didn't.
Yeah. And they can see why I have retired from sports betting. And I'll tell you my prices too.
And how many total did you bet on the Super Bowl? I need to know. I don't bet, guys. Just letting you know, I'm not a sports bettor, but I've always really wanted to get into it. I'm just waiting till I actually have money.
You don't want to get into it. I fucking hate that shit.
I think I'd be pretty solid at it, but they always say that. I had a big gambling addiction in high school with Counter-Strike skins, and that scarred me for life, because I lost so much money off that.
Scared to get back into the game. I feel you, man.
Yeah.
I'm not ruling out a potential return, but for now, it's like, we're done. It's like Michael Jordan. I stepped away from the game in 94, but not because I was bored of the sport. It's because I was bad at it. So I first bet was $20. And my unit size, by the way, everyone, I'm not like, I do a lot of like bets, but they're not for big prices. So it's really not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things, but still, as a broke college student, it all kind of adds up. So my unit sizes, I usually do around $7 to $10. So I did around 2 or 3 unit size. For this one, I had $20 minus 110 on Cincy plus 4.5. Nice. That hit. That hit. Nice. There we go. But then I had $10 on Cincy plus 175 money line.
Ooh.
1 for 1. It gets much worse, I promise.
1 for 2.
This one made me furious. Samaje Perine over 3.5 rushing yards. Yeah. 2 attempts.
Oh, man. 0 yards. And one of them was the biggest play of the game.
Yep. And it's funny because it happened earlier in the game. Like I knew his carry size would be around 2 or 3. He's a receiving back, but I'm banking on that. He at least needs an average of 2 yards per carry. Like that's on the grand scheme of things. It doesn't seem like a horrible bet, but yeah, he had the first one, which was horrible. Just an awful run. It's like, maybe he'll get like 1 or 2 later. Gets that big carry at the end. And you watch it again, because I fucking watched it so many times. He had a hole. Yeah. Like he had an opportunity to get the first down and he just botched it, dude. So that didn't hit. That was $5 down the drain. Cam Akers under 16.5 rushing attempts. He had 13, which hits $5 to win 385. So that was good. Joe Burrow wins Super Bowl MVP, banking on the Bengals. And if the Bengals win, I know T. Higgins making the argument, but Joe Burrow's right there in contention to win it. So I just needed the Bengals to win to be in like have a shot, and they didn't, which sucked. Ugh, this is the worst one, Sam. The coin toss is tails. I lost the coin toss. At least it wasn't Pat McAfee who lost. He has bet on the coin toss for the past 2 years and has lost a combined total of $400,000, which I'm not
that's tough.
Under 23.5 for the first touchdown jersey number, which we talked about on the pod. Odell Beckham. Good job. Proud of you. Snoop Dogg won't smoke on stage, which hit.
Yep. We both said he wouldn't. So that's good. He did before the game, but he didn't.
Right.
He didn't during.
I was so nervous because like he was like, I don't know how to describe it. I think it's because of his rings, but he had his feet like hands like this before. And I'm like, oh, he's definitely going to go like this. I know he's got but he didn't do it, which was nice.
He crip walks on stage, but he doesn't smoke blood.
Yeah, right. Color of Gatorade is lime green. Nope. It was fucking blue. First penalty will be a false start. That was the second penalty. It was a fucking delay of game. Super Bowl will mention his family first in his speech. Nope. Teammates. Yep. Will the opening kickoff be a touchback? No. It was. Yeah. So I didn't hit that. So I went like 3-8. It was bad. Oh. I had a moment after the game. Like I didn't lose a lot of money. I think I lost $25 in total. But I had a moment after the game where I was like, what am I doing to myself? I got to take a break. So March Madness, I'm not going to say I'm going to be betting. I promise I'll make like 15 brackets because that's not betting. That's just making brackets. So we'll see. Oh, and
are you putting money in your bracket?
Yeah, but I don't think that really counts though. We'll see. Regardless though, I'm going to do the YouTube challenge again. If anyone here did the YouTube, dude, we had like 60 people participated in it last year. It was fire.
Sick. Nice.
I know. And I want to do it again. I'm going to start, I think the March Madness videos next week. So I look forward to that. But regardless, enough with the bets. We're going to get into the Super Bowl now. Super Bowl, here is what happened. All right. So to start things out, I'm not going to go play by play because that'd be way too much. I'm not going to go drive by drive because even now it'd be too much, but kind of consensus of what was happening during the game and kind of the sequences that was following with that. So first couple of plays, the first 2 drives by both teams, it was showcasing a lot of what these defenses brought. The Rams, after the first down on that first play, 4 plays later, they run into a situation where they punt the ball. Bengals get the ball, and the Rams defense looked what we thought they'd be, and they got a stop as well. Rams get the ball back, and they marched down the field pretty easily after that, and it was capped off by an Odell Beckham touchdown. Odell Beckham was electric in this game for when he was playing. It was obvious that he still has the talent to to be a difference maker in the NFL games. And it's a shame that he did tore his ACL. Hopefully he'll be ready by week 1. I know he's a free agent for the Rams, but I would assume the Rams, after what we saw from the production in the playoffs, they have every intention to re-sign him. So I would expect him to be back with the Rams, but he gets a touchdown. After that, the Bengals go 3 and out. So you're kind of thinking to yourself, the Rams are in full control here, but then the Bengals defense gets a 3 and out as well. And then after that, we are around, I believe, the 1 minute mark in the first quarter, where we saw the Jamar Chase on Jaylen Ramsey play. And let me just say, that was unbelievable by Jamar Chase. What an absolutely amazing catch. A great throw by Joe Burrow too. Jaylen Ramsey, after that play, you could see he was like pointing to where he knew he was at fault. There's a lot to talk about with Jaylen Ramsey, which we'll get into later, but that was unfortunate for the Bengals that they only came away with 3 points after that. And Evan McPherson field goal made it 7-3. Then after that, the Rams go down and score a touchdown, which was Cooper Kupp's first touchdown of the game. Back left end zone, catches it. Beautiful, beautiful throw, beautiful catch. Everything about it was great. But a difference maker in this game was the botched snap on that extra point. Makes it 13-3. And then right after that, the Bengals go down and score a touchdown for themselves, which I believe was capped off by a Joe Mixon throw to T. Higgins, which was a great play design. We'll get into the play design and the play calling from both teams, because I think that was a big talkative point after this game. But say what you want, that was a great play design. Obviously, we've seen the Philly special. That wasn't exactly the Philly special, even though the Rams tried it later in the game and it went completely to shit. But you like to see kind of a lot of these fun plays happen in the game. So it's 13-10 at this point. Second quarter is basically a wash at that point. We get into the second half. And probably the biggest play of the game is the 75-yard touchdown to T. Higgins again. Say what you want. He grabbed Jaylen Ramsey's face mask. Was it enough? Was it offensive pass interference? We'll get into that afterwards. But regardless, T. Higgins goes and scores a touchdown, makes it 17-13. And then right after that, the Rams, Matthew Stafford throws a pick, if I'm correct. Throws that pick.
First play.
Yeah, which was bizarre. Then the Bengals get a field goal, 20-17. And then the Bengals couldn't score for the rest of the game. And then we see a field goal by the Rams. And then after that, it's basically a defensive matchup until the final 5 minutes of the game, where the Rams go on, what was it, an 80-yard drive, something like that, which was an unbelievable drive. I mean, we know Matthew Stafford's known for his late drives at the end of the games, these game-winning drives, and he did it to perfection, linking up with Cooper Kupp basically on every single play, when obviously no Odell, you lack the receivers on that, and Cooper Kupp was unbelievable on that last drive, and what was capped off by the Cooper Kupp touchdown in the end zone with about 1:20 remaining. And then after that,
You're missing some key details there. I'm just letting you know.
What, on the drive?
Oh, yeah. At the end zone? We'll get into it, but
no,
we'll get into it.
I was meaning we'll get more into it. I'm
because you talked about the other play with T. Higgins, and I just want to bring up that is a very pivotal part of the game as well. There.
No, I know. I'm trying to we're gonna get way more into detail. I'm just kind of
I got you.
And then at the end of the game, we see what the Rams defense presents. They were fantastic in this game, and that's why Aaron Donald is the best defensive player of all time, making a play when it matters the most. Getting to Joe Burrow in an instance
of all time.
You don't think Aaron Donald's the best defensive player of all time? The only person I think comes close is LT.
Man, that is wow. Okay, interesting. All right, continue. Sorry.
So that's why I think he's the best. Made a play when it mattered the most. I know there's speculation that he could retire after this game, after he won a ring. So we'll see if that happens. I would fully expect him to be back, but we'll have to see about that. Regardless, though, I think the biggest thing on this game is Rams defensive line came in clutch when it mattered. The Bengals offensive line, there were many moments, especially in the second half, where you saw that was the downhill of this team. It cost them big time. That's why everyone says offensive line truly matters. But Matthew Stafford wins his ring that he's always wanted. A lot of people says this is the ring that will get into the Hall of Fame. That is for a whole different debate, but that's what people are saying. And Rams win 23-20. Joe Burrow and company will have to look to get their first ring, but as of now, they fall a little bit short. So all in all, though, we'll go through the big details of this game. I'll let you kind of decide where we want to start. But all in all, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really solid game. I know it was pretty low scoring. A lot of people thought that the over would hit, which I think was at 48.5. And
I think it was, yeah.
So it was only like, and the over, first half, it was going to kill it. I mean, first half, you really thought it was, and then that defensive performances in the second half really cost it to happen. But regardless, all I can ask for in the Super Bowl is a close game, and that's exactly what we got. It came down to the wire, and it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, this was a great game. Like, just plain and simple. It was a great game, and the best Super Bowl since, obviously, Niners, Chiefs, but probably better other than that one, Falcons, Patriots, something like that.
Yeah, I was thinking, I think the 49ers, Chiefs in this one were pretty similar.
Yeah.
Just kind of back and forth the whole game. You didn't really know who was going to win. The 49ers kind of felt like the Bengals in that instance where they was the underdog. Chiefs and the Rams were the big favorite. So they were pretty similar in a lot of ways. But yeah, I don't know which one I think would better, but obviously that doesn't matter. They were both good. So
yeah. And to get back to this, when we previewed this game, I brought up the fact of the trenches, and this game is going to be won in the trenches. And it absolutely was, because the Rams, first and foremost, I'll start with them. Their defensive line was playing excellent. They were getting pressure on Joe Burrow. I mean, they had like a 14% pass block win rate or some shit like that. It was terrible. The league average is like 60 or 70. So that should tell you everything about how this game went for them against their defensive line. And everyone and their mother could forecast that the Bengals offensive line could not protect Joe Burrow from the Rams defensive line. Aaron Donald did have a slow start, but after that slow start, he picked it up and just wrecked shit the entire game. Personally, I think he should have been Super Bowl MVP, but we'll get to that later.
I will say before you end, I think Collinsworth made a good point, and anyone kind of knew with this Bengals situation knew that this was the case, but it's like, we know the Bengals offensive line was not good, but because they were just, obviously it's just, you bend, don't break. If it was just, can it be good enough to at least hold him up to get some sort of points? And we saw that in the first half and in the first beginning of the second half. Like, it was bad, but it wasn't the worst thing we've ever seen. And then kind of right when you get to like the back end of the third quarter, the whole fourth quarter, they just could not handle with the Rams.
No, they couldn't. And Joe Burrow literally got hurt because of it. He sprained his knee. He won't need surgery. I know everyone in their, I was about to say everyone, your mother again, but it's true. Everyone thought that this man just tore his ACL again. I'm not going to lie. And we saw Stafford also get hurt in this game a little bit, but I knew Matthew Stafford, who's tough as nails, who played a whole season hurt, is not going to leave the Super Bowl with a little bit of a sprained ankle. That's not going to happen. So both these quarterbacks toughed it up and finished the game, which is a testament to both of them. And do I think either of them really played that well? Not really. I think both of them had their moments. But if Super Bowl MVP was to go to anyone other than the quarterback, I think that was very fair. The quarterback really just didn't have a case on either team. Maybe Joe Burrow if he led the game-winning drive, but that's really about it. I think the defenses of both of these teams really showed out. When I talked about the trenches, I meant it was the Rams defensive line over the Bengals offensive line. See how they could do there. Obviously, the Rams had the advantage. I mean, Joe Burrow got sacked like 6 or 7 times, and he was running out of the pocket. He had like no time the entire game. There were so many opportunities where if he had just half a second more to let the play develop, he could have hit some really big plays, but obviously that did not happen. I remember on that the fourth down, you got freaking Jamar Chase about to break free. He doesn't have enough time because Aaron Donald's right there already. So he has to go to CJ Uzama, and he's getting dragged down to the floor once he's throwing it. So he had no chances. T. Higgins also had a pretty good opportunity there. You can say that's on the quarterback, whatever you want to say, but it's true. He just didn't have enough time in a lot of moments in this game. I mean, I brought up the numbers. And then the other part of this trench battle was the Bengals defensive line against the Rams running game, because I knew that they weren't going to really get that much pressure on Matthew Stafford because the Rams have one of the best O-lines in the league. It was more shutting down the run game. And by God, did they shut down the run game. The Rams running game was practically invisible in this entire game. And I will get to the coaches here because I think the coaching by both McVay and Taylor was terrible in this game. I think both of them were not very good, and they made some really weird decisions and some poor play calls. And the Rams just kept going to the running game, kept going back to the running game, wasting downs and distance. I mean, they were at a 3rd and long, and they call a draw play early in the game when you should be running up the score and you should feel confident in Matthew Stafford, but you didn't. You ran it with Darrell Henderson. There were a couple of times where Cam Akers literally did nothing, and they just kept going to it. And there were moments later in the game in that 3rd quarter when the Bengals had pulled away after that T. Higgins touchdown. The Rams had 2 times where they started with the ball near the 50, and they got 0 points from either of those trips, which is just a travesty in both coaching and how the play calls were done because they were running the ball still there, even when it wasn't working. So the Bengals had the advantage on one side of the ball with that situation, but the Rams situation was just way too overpowering for the other side. And I do think that's where this game was won. You could tell early on that the Rams were the better team because the Bengals were scoring off really tricky stuff. I mean, that Jamar Chase one-handed catch, the T. Higgins face mask rip, the trick play. Like, it wasn't a sustainable way of winning, in my opinion, with how the game was going. And you could tell where the Rams were just moving the ball well, but when they weren't running it. And you kind of got the sense that they would eventually get back into it and find their stride and win the game. That's kind of the feel I was getting. And that's exactly what ended up happening. Now we could talk about the officiating coming into play later in the game if you want to right now. But
sure. Yeah, well, I was saying this. I was talking to a lot of my friends about this too. I have always, and I still will always be someone who will never revert to the refs as a way to lose a game. Say what you want. Look, it was evident early on in the game they were going to let them play. I'm fine with that. I'm completely fine with that. My biggest concern, and I'm not even saying this is a reason why the Bengals lost, because the Bengals did not lose because of officiating. Yep. It's just there were times, like on that last play with the pass interference, that same exact play could have happened in the 2nd quarter, and you're not going to call that. I understand it's like the biggest moment in the game to where that's where you're going to get a lot of attention. There is a slight hold there to where you could call it. It's just the fact of like, you're not calling that early on in the game. And now on that last drive, you're getting pretty picky on what you are going to decide to call. Now, that's not why they lost. You just alluded to it. There's a lot of other factors that went into it, but it's not even in this game alone. There are so many instances where fans, I know we joke about Theo a lot, who does the Stay Hot on TikTok podcast, but he had a really good point. And he was like, I seriously think fans love complaining more than they love supporting. Like, that is our tendency to do. Like when things go to shit, we point fingers at anyone else except for what the actual cause is. Like, if I make a mistake and I do something wrong, our natural instinct is to not blame it on us because we don't want to be embarrassed. That's how it was for Bengals fans. I mean, you go back to that last call, when I think it was on the last drive. I don't know if it was the 4th down, but like the Rams, the one hand was like close to the ball and everyone's like, oh, it's an offsides there. Who fucking cares?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's just so many things in the game to where it's like, you're just picking and choosing at this point. And if you did that in every single game, you're going to find results like that. So all in all, I don't have a problem with the officiating. I'm fine. They let him play. I could see why people would be upset with the last one, especially Bengals fans. Like, if I was a Bengals fan, I would definitely be upset by that, but I would at least be like, that's not why we lost the game.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, the Bengals, I do think I think it was Logan Wilson who got that PI call on 3rd down. I don't think there was a PI there, like, just straight up. I mean, maybe you could see a smidge of a tug, but they're not calling that early in the game, like you alluded to. But I don't care that much about it because they got a free touchdown from T. Higgins literally ripping Jaylen Ramsey's head off.
Right.
Does Jaylen Ramsey jump that ball well enough? I don't think Jaylen Ramsey played that pass perfectly. So I still think T. Higgins probably completes the pass, but it's not a touchdown if Jaylen Ramsey doesn't get his head ripped. It's probably just a big play. And you can make the point, they still score a touchdown. Who gives a fuck? It's still a big play. It gives you a free 7 points.
And even so, I go back to the Rams Saints instance for an example too, because so many people forget after that horrible missed pass interference that the Rams got the ball, or the Saints got the ball to start overtime. And no one wants to talk about that. The Bengals had a minute 20 with 3 timeouts, or 2 timeouts, excuse me, but still to at least get a field goal. That's all you need. You need to go 40 yards. And I'm sorry, if you can't go 40 yards in a minute 20 with 2 timeouts, you don't deserve to win the game. You got to be clutch in the big moments. And Joe, I mean, obviously I'm not saying pointing fingers, but the Bengals just weren't clutch when they needed to be.
Yeah. And also the other 2 calls that happened after the Logan Wilson call, I think were completely valid. I think they were real and they were legitimate. Now you can make the case that, they were letting him play the whole game. Still, I think it was Eli Apple literally trucks Cooper Kupp. I mean, you got to call that. So that's not a big deal to me. I just think the sad part is it happened on 3rd down with the Logan Wilson call, and they were 10 yards out of the end zone. So they'd have to go for it on 4th down, and that potentially decides the game. The Rams, I still think, had 3 timeouts, so it didn't fully decide the game because they could have kicked the field goal, maybe try and got a stop, or maybe just gone for the touchdown and then get a stop again and then try and get another touchdown if they didn't convert on 4th down. Obviously, we don't know.
Right.
We'll never know.
And that's what I'm saying. I hate when people just do so many hypotheticals.
Exactly.
It happened. Let's move on. You got to learn how to adjust to bad calls in the NFL.
Literally. Part of it. That's why I always say on this podcast, I say, we don't know. So who cares? Because hypotheticals are stupid and what happened. But like you said, you can't go 40 yards. You don't deserve to win. And I mean, the Bengals literally did nothing in the second half of this game. They caught their stride in the second quarter. And then right out the gate of half, they score that big touchdown, literally the first play. Then after that, did nothing.
They had 3 points.
Yeah, they had nothing. Yeah, it's just, I mean, the run game was okay. They weren't amazingly effective in it, but Joe Mixon was still doing well. They went to Samaje Perine on the 3rd and 1, which was interesting. And like you said, he had a hole. He didn't hit it. And then you go for that 5 wide.
I know we just
play.
I know we just had this conversation, which is funny. I'm not blaming anyone, but I think I'm more upset because I bet on it. That was a horrible spot, I want to say, on that 3rd and 1 with Perine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at it and I'm please at least give me a yard. That's all I ask for. So we have more opportunities. That's a yard. That's close to it. And they gave him barely anything on that play, which, I mean, who cares? It was a fucking horrible run, but
he didn't get it. He didn't convert.
I know he didn't get it.
Okay.
But I'm saying it was inches and they did a full yard on that, which whatever. I mean, it wouldn't have mattered because of the next play call, but Samaje, dude, you're not going to give me 4 yards. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. You go.
No. You're
well, I want to ask, because now that it's officially over, I know this conversation came up right after the regular season, maybe a little bit before the regular season concluded, but now that you got to witness him in the win the Super Bowl MVP, is this the greatest wide receiver season ever from Cooper Kupp?
I was not even alive when Jerry Rice played, so probably not. But it could be. I haven't really looked in the past. You probably are more of a historical fan than I am.
Well, I think
you probably have better knowledge than this.
The only one that I think comes to mind is Calvin Johnson. Was it 2012?
Calvin Johnson, 2012.
When he had, I mean, but it's just so different with Cooper Kupp and everyone else, because I went back and watched on YouTube. It was a 3-minute segment of Mike Mayock. And I know we clowned on Mike Mayock, but he had a really good, he said a lot about Cooper Kupp in the combine that was really true. And obviously his biggest things were like Cooper Kupp is not going to win you with athleticism like Calvin Johnson in this instance. I mean, Cooper Kupp was a 3rd round pick out of Eastern Washington. But Cooper Kupp it's hard to describe what he does on the field. That is insane because I know people on TikTok are like, oh, you put him in the slot. He's a slot machine. That's all he can do.
Not but top 15.
That's what I'm saying. It's just bizarre. And like and look, I know it sounds simple. If you're the Bengals, it's like, oh, make the Rams beat you with anyone else except Cooper Kupp. That's just such a like broad thing to say. You can't just say, oh, let's let's let these other guys beat us besides Cooper Kupp. Because I know damn well the Bengals were trying everything to not have Cooper Kupp catch the ball. But even after that, there's just his route running, his speed, his catch-making ability. Everything that Cooper Kupp does is why he had arguably one of the best wide receiver seasons we've seen of all time. And it's unbelievable. No one expected this from Cooper Kupp too. And that is why, look, I mean, Aaron Rodgers was unbelievable, and I think he deserved MVP, but it's like Cooper Kupp statistically had the best wide receiver season of all time, and no one was even thinking about him for MVP, which just
you got a vote.
Yeah, one. That's good.
I think that's the first time a wide receiver has ever gotten an MVP vote.
That's the problem. Why is that the first ever one? And like, I get QB matters drastically on a team, but you're basically just saying who's the best quarterback and the most monumental quarterback in the season. That's what the award is. And I know we talked about that earlier, but whatever. That's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, let me think. I mean, let me think. Okay, so best wide receiver seasons ever. Let me think here. So obviously Calvin Johnson. I think of Julio in 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
Randy Moss on the Patriots in 2007. There's probably a Jerry Rice season in there somewhere. Don Hudson had some pretty fucking insane numbers back in the 40s, but no one's going to pick him. So, I mean, I definitely think this is definitely in contention for that.
I agree.
You were not wrong.
I'm intrigued to see what he can do next year. If he's just going to be like a 1,700-yard guy again, or if he's going to kind of go back to what we saw before the season. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But what else? What else do we miss about the Super Bowl?
So do you personally think that Kupp deserved Super Bowl MVP over Aaron Donald? Because I personally would go with Aaron Donald.
I would probably go Cooper
even though
Kupp,
I think Kupp has a case. Yeah.
Because Kupp was just so fucking effective in that final drive. And and to be fair, Aaron Donald on that 4-play sequence when they were on defense was getting so much pressure. Unbelievable. And he came up in the biggest moments too. Like I said, I thought it was going to go to Stafford actually. And I was like, I'm hoping though it goes to Kupp or Donald. Oh, same. I would have been so mad. But I said, I think Donald or Kupp. I'd be fine with either one. So I can understand why someone would say Donald, but I think because of what Kupp did on that final drive just was unbelievable. Like there was no one else that ball was going to on that last play. No one else.
I mean, with Odell getting hurt, it was looking like Odell was going to get it in the first quarter because he was torching them. And then obviously he has his ACL tear, which we'll get to. But I'm so convinced because in the second half of the game before that final drive, Matthew Stafford just forgot Cooper Kupp existed. They did not get the ball to Cooper Kupp at all. I think they had 2 plays where they went to him before that drive, and one of them was Cooper Kupp throwing the pass to Matthew Stafford. And I am convinced that play was designed for Odell instead of Cooper Kupp.
Yeah,
to throw that pass, but Odell got hurt. I'm convinced because I think Odell hits that pass because Odell actually could throw that thing. He could throw it well.
No.
But we could shift to Stafford because let's do Rams praise before we get to Bengals talk. There's a lot of talk right now about Stafford as a Hall of Famer now that he has a ring. And I don't know if you saw what Richard Sherman tweeted out earlier today.
I didn't.
You haven't? Okay. No. Well, basically, I will sum it up for you. is that he thinks that the bar for Hall of Fame is way too low now, and that Matthew Stafford has no case, essentially. And
well, I will say, I think Matthew Stafford all time is underrated. We talked about that a lot because of what he did in Detroit, just the organizational wise. It was such a dysfunction, and kind of we can't really discredit him. And now in his first season in LA, he wins a ring. There's no fluke in that regard. But I will say, I thought especially of this in the NBA, I do think they are way too accepting of members. I have always kind of thought that, not to the point where Richard Sherman's saying there's no like case for Matthew Stafford, because there is a case. There 100% is a case for Matthew Stafford to be in this Hall of Fame. But I do agree in the sense that there are definitely people that have gotten in that are undeserving, but there also is the case that there are people left out of the Hall of Fame that I think definitely should be in it.
Well, he thinks that the Hall of Fame is kind of just turned into, for a quarterback, if you've played long and have played well, that you should get in. That's what he feels like the Hall of Fame is turned into.
I agree. And I mean, I think we both agree. Eli Manning is not a Hall of Famer. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer at all. The reason why he's a Hall of Famer is because he beat Tom Brady twice. He has a 116 record. He never was a top 5 quarterback in his position in his prime. That to me does not speak Hall of Fame. I feel like you have to be in the prime of your career, like one of the best. And I just feel like Eli wasn't. Stafford, though, there were definitely, I don't know though.
I don't think he's ever gotten to top 5.
I don't think Matthew Stafford's a Hall of Famer. That is
I don't either.
But I definitely think he can get there.
It depends really how he finishes his career with the Rams, because obviously there's talk about Sean McVay going to the booth. I don't think that's happening, but if he did that, that'd be freaking crazy. But apparently the Rams are going to work on an extension with him, keep him around until probably he's in his late 30s.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, obviously the Rams, they just won the Super Bowl. This team might get worse. They went all in. Von Miller is going to be a free agent. Aaron Donald might retire.
But I was
Sean
saying
McVay might go to the booth.
I was
a free agent.
Sean McVay, there's no fucking shot he retires.
I don't think he will either.
But I will say, I think we're going to see, again, similar to the Buccaneers, we're going to see a very similar Rams team that we saw this year, just because it is always a tendency of guys who won a Super Bowl with the team they were on last year. They always have the run it back mentality. We saw that exactly with Tampa. And I think LA, we're expecting Odell to go for a bigger price than I think he's actually going to go for. And I think the Rams are going to kind of take advantage of that and sign him to a deal. I think Odell comes back. Like you said, Von Miller, he was very effective in the postseason, especially. I'm not sure what's going to happen with there, but obviously LA's intentions are to get him back and they're going to work on a deal with that. And there's loads of guys also, but not the transition, because we'll talk about that later, but Cincinnati also has some free agents that they have to deal with as well. So it goes back to, and sorry, off topic, but I love Cincy so much. You know, I wanted Cincy to win. I don't love them as much as you, obviously, but I really wanted Cincinnati to win this game. And you kind of fall in love with the underdog mentality of this team in the postseason. But I'm scared because I think someone made a really good point about this. We were spoiled with LeBron and the Patriots to where we're so used to them going back to the promised land that it's just so uncommon for that actually to happen. Like LeBron, we're just so used to him going to the finals. The Patriots, we're just so used to going to the Super Bowl. That was expected. Even with the Chiefs right now, we are being spoiled, even though they didn't make it this past season. They got to the AFC Championship, 4 straight AFC Championships. We talked about that, but still, everyone just assuming that this Bengals team is going to be back. Like, don't get me wrong, an incredibly bright future with Joe Burrow. He is a top 5 quarterback. He's unbelievable. Jamar Chase, all really on paper, they really have to fix is the offensive line, and they should be in contention every single year, but it is so hard to make the Super Bowl. And that is why I respect what the Rams did, going all in and getting aggressive, because it's like, fuck it. If it doesn't work out, we took a chance to do something that's really hard. So I do think with the Rams, it's going to be tough to go back there. Even with all these guys coming back, we thought Tampa was a lock to get back with basically the same roster on the Super Bowl. We think that this Bengals team could get back next year, but they have to play in an extremely tough division that, when healthy, is the best division in the NFL. So I don't think we're going to see a rematch. We'll maybe get one of these teams back, and that's a big maybe, but it is so hard to make the Super Bowl.
It really is, and it's going to be even weirder with Tom Brady gone. So that's a big topic of conversation. It's not easy getting the Super Bowl. I mean, we just saw Aaron Rodgers. I mean, after the Packers won in 2010, we thought, oh, Packers are going to be the next dynasty. Don't need to talk to me about that.
Yeah.
And who knows what happens with Mahomes. I mean, this Chiefs team, they have so much cap tied up to like singular players. This team's probably going to get worse. Who knows?
That's why the NFL is king, is it's just so unpredictable every single year.
Exactly.
And like the Bengals, I know they draft particularly well in the past, but like, let's say hypothetically, even though we don't like hypotheticals on this podcast, they draft really bad this year. We have no idea what the GM's thinking. That ultimately diminishes a lot of what we expect from them next year. Free agency, maybe they don't make the moves that we expect them to do, or maybe they make the moves that seems bad on paper, but turns out to be really good, like the Bengals kind of did this season. So a lot of things up in the air, and that's why I'm so excited for this offseason, but that's also why, again, it's just so hard to predict something in 12 months in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, there's talk already about Joe Burrow being the next Andrew Luck. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Let's hold off a little bit on that and wait to see if, Joe Burrow is great. I love him, but he has not played to Andrew Luck's caliber yet. Andrew Luck was a perennial top 5 quarterback when he played and he was healthy. I know Joe Burrow just had a top 5 caliber season. He's a fringe top 5 guy, depends on who you ask. But Andrew Luck was consistently
top 3,
in your top 5. Yeah. When he was actually playing football. So let's hold the horses there. And I know Joe Burrow got to a Super Bowl and Andrew Luck didn't, but we'll have to see if the Bengals can repeat. I mean, the AFC is tough. I mean, we just saw it. This conference is just a lot of teams on the same tier. I mean, the Titans, the Chiefs, the Bills. I mean, even the Patriots are going to get better. The Steelers might be better with a new quarterback that isn't 38-year-old Ben Roethlisberger. And then you got the Ravens getting healthy. And you have all these teams that are the Chargers, the Raiders. We'll see how they are. The Broncos, if they get a quarterback. Like, this conference is tough. The Browns, if they take Kurt's poem to heart. Like,
yeah,
there's so much that can change in one offseason. And this offseason is shaping up to be really interesting. But all I know is for the Bengals is you completely outperformed expectations. Everyone expected you to be bad again. Let's not get it twisted. Everyone thought you overpaid for certain players. Everyone thought that you were stupid for drafting Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell. Nice. I can say I wasn't fully on that boat, thankfully. And everyone thought that Joe Burrow was going to get killed again. Now, that is true. He got killed this season, but he was great before he got killed. You completely outperformed expectations. And you should feel good about that. You lost in the Super Bowl, but you made the Super Bowl. And no, you were tied with the Jets for Super Bowl odds coming into this season.
Yeah.
That should tell you everything about how your future is. And you have an excellent young core to work with. I mean, this receiving core with Joe Burrow, I mean, he's not a receiver, but Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, and T. Higgins, as well as CJ Uzomah, if you want to throw him in there. That is a great young group to work around. And then obviously, if you build up this offensive line into something formidable, you're going to be a powerhouse in the NFL.
Yep, I agree. And
yeah,
I was going to say, fuck. The fuck was I going to say?
Stafford's not a Hall of Famer.
No, it had to do with the Bengals. What the fuck? Oh, Yeah, I remember it. I was like, dude, this is a good topic. I predicted, this was wrong, but I did predict that T. Higgins would be the number one wide receiver on this team going into the year. And he wasn't, obviously, because of Jamar Chase's unbelievable rookie season. But because of that rookie season, I feel like it overshadowed T. Higgins, what he did. He had a 1,000-yard season. Yeah. That's unbelievable from T. Higgins. And he was really good in the Super Bowl. So like you said, that 1-2 duo is probably as good as anyone in the NFL. So you should feel really good about that. All right. Last thing. Give me, if you're good with this, give me your 3 biggest takeaways from the Super Bowl. Could be anything.
Oh, man. Okay, let's switch off back and forth on this one. Okay.
I can start us off.
We can agree on some. Do you want them all to be different, or do you want to, or can we share?
2 out of 3 of mine are non-sports related or non-game related, but you'll see. You'll see.
Oh, I have a feeling I know which one is. One of them is.
Number 1, I will say, I thought for Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth's last game in the booth, which very, very heartbreaking at that. Thought it was a good way to go out. I thought they called the game well, but I think more importantly, it was a really good game. You can go back and be like, I'm glad I ended it on that one. Like I feel like this kind of is similar, not to the biggest extent as the San Antonio Holmes catch, because that was an unbelievable catch. And that was with less time on the clock, but still, it kind of gives you the same vibe. The Steelers and the Cardinals were playing had bad offenses that game.
Yep.
And going to the last kind of plays of the game, the Steelers made big plays, and similar to the Rams. So, and we go back on that game a lot, and we talk about that play, and I think it'll be kind of similar with Cooper Kupp on the season he had in the game. So it was an iconic game. I'm glad that Al Michaels and Collinsworth called it. I think Collinsworth is retiring, like the speculation says. But I really think Michaels would go to Amazon, which is going to be unbelievable. He was talking to who was he talking to after the game? Oh, Eminem. Michaels was talking to Eminem, and Eminem doesn't really know much about broadcasting, which is fine. Like, I don't expect a lot of people like him to know a lot about it. And he was like, "Yo, isn't there rumors that you're retiring?" And he was like, "No, I'll be back, just somewhere else." So that basically put the nail in the coffin that he's going to be gone. So it's fine. I'm intrigued to see what NBC does, though, with their broadcasting, because I think
McVay.
It could be, I know, Tirico is probably going to be play-by-play. I don't know if it would be Drew Brees alongside
Drew Brees
of him.
Is going to get in there, I'm pretty sure.
But it's weird because all 3 of them are going to be gone. Michelle Tafoya is now a correspondent for a Republican Party, which is unbelievable how that happens. And then we got Collinsworth's going to be gone, Michael somewhere else. So they're going to have to replace all 3. But Maria Taylor to be the sideline reporter is just the most obvious bet in the entire world.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know, though, because I'm retired from betting. But if I was a betting man, that's what I'd do. So that's my first takeaway.
Yeah, I agree with you on all of that. But I'm pretty confident Drew Brees will be the color. I'm pretty confident in that. And Maria Taylor being the sideline.
Yeah, you're not a Drew fan, right?
I don't know.
A lot of people don't like him, and I think he didn't do well with the Notre Dame games, but you also got to keep into account it was his first year, so I give him the benefit of that doubt.
I just don't like giving former athletes the booth literally within 2 years of them retiring.
No, I agree with that.
I think it's bad. I think it's just not good, and they need to learn more before they do it. I don't want them learning on the fly rather than them actually trying it first. I mean, obviously Brees did the Notre Dame games, but still, the NFL is a different king when it comes to broadcast.
I agree.
As someone who works in TV space, the shit they do is so complicated, and it hurts my head when I watch it sometimes now, knowing how to make stuff like this.
Yeah.
All right. But all right, my first takeaway. Let me think here. I didn't really.
Sorry, I put you on the spot. I should have kind of gave you.
I'm gonna save one of my takeaways. I know for sure for the last part, because I know we're gonna talk about it anyways. So I'll save it, and then it'll be like a conversation starter. You know what I mean?
That's good.
Okay.
That's good.
Let's do this. How about? Damn, man. The era of this being an offensive league is overrated.
Elaborate.
So every fan thinks that the NFL is offensive focused and that everything is tailored for the offense to succeed. Defense is still as prominent as ever. And this Super Bowl proved it. And Super Bowls of the past have proved it. And it always seems like, doesn't it always seem like to you, during the regular season, you see these teams put up big numbers and big points. And then once it gets really tough in the playoffs and near the end, it's always the defenses that show out and show up. And that's what really matters most. Because when was the last time you saw a Super Bowl winning team not have a good defense? Who was the last one? A top 10 defense. Who was the last Super Bowl you saw that didn't have a top 10 defense?
Couldn't tell you. I don't know.
I mean, let's think. Rams had a top 10 defense.
Bucks had a top
10. Chiefs, I think, had a top 10.
They definitely did. Yeah,
I think they did, but they were good. Patriots definitely had a top 10 defense. Year prior was why am I forgetting?
I am too. So went Falcons, Pats.
Patriots definitely had a top 10 defense.
Yeah.
Then it was 2017 with oh my God, why am I, you know what? Hold on. Let me look this up. Why are we blanking on this?
I'm trying to think.
Philly, God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Philly had a top 10 unit that year. Then it was New England. Denver definitely had a top 10 defense that year. New England definitely did. Seattle 1000% did. Baltimore, New York, Green Bay did. All Super Bowl winners have top defenses. People don't realize that sometimes. And the era of offense is overrated, in my opinion. That these people still overrate how important. I mean, offense is definitely important. I mean, you don't score, you don't win.
Right.
But defense is just as important. And we're seeing in Super Bowls and when deep in the playoffs, it's as important as ever. I mean, the conference championship games were low scoring. This game was low scoring. The last game, I think that was extremely offensive oriented. That defense was literally just Swiss cheese in the playoffs for this season was Bills Chiefs. But after that was divisional round. After that, it got into a scrap fight with all these teams. So that's just kind of the point I'm making. I think because once you get in the playoffs, the defense is what matters. So I think it's kind of getting overrated in the general sphere how integral a strong defense is to winning a Super Bowl.
I can agree with that.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. I was a little all over the place there, but
no, you're good. I agree with that. My second take is Jaylen Ramsey somehow turned himself into the most underrated cornerback in the league in the Super Bowl. The amount of hate that guy received after the game. Look, he had bad plays. The first one to Jamar, blown coverage, but I think it was an even better route, an even better play by Jamar. Jamar had to come down with an unbelievable catch. And then you had the face mask, which wasn't necessarily his fault. That was a face mask. But no one's talking about how when the Bengals, after that Jamar play, they're at the 10-yard line, he stops that play. I think it was to Tyler Boyd. Was it? Or was it T. Higgins? It was the one right down the middle of the field, and it was almost kind of picked off, and the ball kind of fell out.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that was a great play on his end. He still is easily, in my opinion, the best corner in the game. And he's obviously on an all-time scale up there. Wouldn't say he's the best corner of all time, obviously, but his prime is one of the best all time. And look, he's getting way too much hate. That's my takeaway.
Yep. Jaylen Ramsey's the best corner in the NFL. There's really not much more to say. My next takeaway is teams need to have balls. This can be interpreted in 2 or 3 ways. First way, is play calling balls. The Rams nor the Bengals had play calling balls in this game. They just didn't. The Rams, I touched on this earlier in the pod, they were playing a little conservative. They were using the run game a lot, and they weren't doing that much craziness that you're accustomed to with that team. So that's one way you can take it. The second way is fuck draft picks. Just plain and simple. These teams don't have balls like the Rams do with going all in. The Rams traded every single first round pick they have owned since 2016, all the way through 2023 to win this Super Bowl. And 2 of those first round picks were for a quarterback that got traded with 2 first round picks for the quarterback on this team. So they've essentially traded 4 first round picks for the quarterback currently on their team. Take that as you will.
Doesn't it seem like whenever teams make aggressive moves, it always kind of turns out well? Not even in like the Rams standpoint. I couldn't go back and name like a specific detail. Well, honestly, let's go back to like the Cardinals when they decided to take Kyler instead of stick with Josh Rosen. A lot of people, including me, were like, oh, you should stick with Rosen. They said, fuck that. We want to get our guy. And it's definitely panned out way better than they thought, than a lot of people thought it would. It just seems like when teams get aggressive, it kind of works out for the better. That's my opinion.
Absolutely. And you see this in the NBA also with these big swing trades. I mean, the Lakers traded all that shit for Anthony Davis. They won a chip right after. The Bucks traded all that shit for Drew Holiday. They won a chip right after.
So who's traded a bunch of shit this year? That's how we got to say. No one really.
Figure it out. No one this year. It really is just teams are pussies. They're conservative. They don't want to trade their precious draft picks for players that they love. I mean, the only one that I could think of that hasn't worked out is Khalil Mack
and Jamal Adams.
Oh yeah, Jamal Adams. But that one was just bad from a value standpoint, just in general. But these teams that don't take big swings are pussies. As a fan of a team that has been historically a big pussy from taking big swings for their entire life, it sucks. And I wish they would have done it by now, but they haven't. And it's seeing a team like the Rams win, it just adds salt to your wound. It just stings more. And seeing a team like the Rams who went all in, pushed in all of their chips, work out, and they still could be good next year and win the Super Bowl next year. It's just all goes to show like how much this idea of just going for it and just trying your best to win matters. And I wish more teams would take after that, because so many teams are afraid to do that. And the Rams, I mean, trading all those first round picks, trading all their day 2 picks for Von Miller this year, and then the Odell signing and some other pieces. Like, it just goes to show that you're right. Sometimes this just eventually works out because talent is really the most important thing that could happen, not a nameless player that's coming up in the draft cycle.
Have you seen the movie Draft Day?
I have not.
There's this. So all right. I guess I won't spoil it. I mean, I don't know if you.
I really do not care, but.
Okay. So it's so funny because in the movie, the Browns GM, Sonny Weaver Jr., he gets the offer. He has the 7th pick, but he wants to move up to 1. The Seattle guy offers him 1 for 3 future first rounders, and the guy takes it. Sonny Weaver Jr. accepts, so he has to give up 3 first rounders to go up to 1. And he's getting so much backlash from the Cleveland community, blah, blah, blah. And it's just such a bad movie that's so fun to watch. But he takes the guy who he could have got at 7 at number 1, because he writes on a sticky note, like, take the guy no matter what. So he takes him at 1. And it's so funny because, like, we were just talking about, like, how you got to be aggressive in the NFL. That movie just, like, is just such a fucking, like, aggressive, like, I don't know, like, weird dream. I don't know what, it's just, like, such a bizarre movie. It just made me think of it. Definitely don't watch it. It's not that good. my third takeaway, you're going to think this is so dumb, but State Farm Stadium, which belongs to the Arizona Cardinals, is the most overrated stadium in the NFL.
Why are you bringing this up now? I know they're doing the Super Bowl next year.
They're doing the Super Bowl next year, and I am not fucking looking forward to this. I watched the LA Stadium, whatever it's called, SoFi Stadium. I watched them play at gorgeous SoFi Stadium, and now you got to go to fucking State Farm Stadium next year. They had the college football playoff there this year. Ugh.
Yeah, disgusting. It's gross.
I don't see the attraction. I know a lot of people like it. I see that shit and I'm like, I'm not a fan. Let's put it back in LA. Let's go to Vegas. I know Vegas is 2 years later.
That's the Superdome.
There's just so many better options than stupid Arizona. That I hate that.
Bro, they're going to every warm weather spot. So
I know
if the stadium sucks, it's.
And do you remember when they went to MetLife Stadium for the Broncos Seahawks? That was a shit show.
Yeah.
That was a shit show.
Yeah. That was just dumb.
And like that's why they don't have it in Charlotte, because it's too cold. But like even Charlotte's not that cold. Why would you have it in New York? Which was very bizarre. But whatever.
Because it's New York.
I guess.
They're never gonna take it to Chicago during.
Oh, imagine a fucking Soldier Field Super Bowl.
Oh God.
Be horrible.
I mean, they're not afraid to go to like domes in cold weather areas, like they did the one in Minnesota, and they do that when they build new arenas. So that's when they went to the bird killing stadium. But otherwise, yeah, no, I'm not excited for it because that fucking turf is disgusting. I hate it. And the SoFi's look so pretty and nice. And I mean, did you see those end zones? Oh my God, they looked like they were perfect.
Yeah, they're gorgeous.
And I do know Debo was complaining about the turf in that stadium though. So maybe the turf sucks. All right. My last take, which will spawn a discussion that I know we have to. As a fan, greatest halftime show ever. Not even afraid to say it. I don't care that Prince sang Purple Rain under some rain. I don't care. I was like 6 years old when that happened. I really don't give a fuck. The Black Eyed Peas performing it, the Packers winning. I don't care.
Oh, the Black Eyed Peas were horrible.
I know.
Let's get that out of the way. They were horrible.
But I was 10 years old when that happened, so I didn't know any better. And the Black Eyed Peas were so cool at that time. But in terms of Super Bowl halftime performances that I've watched, that was the most consistent, great performance ever. I loved every song. I knew every song. So, of course, I was singing along to everything. So many great moments. Just all around. The set was sick. The dancing was sick. The stage was awesome. It was just all around. The vibe exuded from that entire performance was just great. I loved it. The crowd was so into it. It was such a good performance. And I know you have a passionate opinion on this, but I'm correct. And that is all that matters.
Look, I will say I'm not mad at people for saying that it's the best halftime show ever, because especially people who grew up in the late 90s, early 2000s, that like true hip hop was going on during that era. And even like us, I still love like original hip hop. And I think we saw that with everyone that performed on the stage. So like Dr. Dre, I would say, obviously we can go back to like Biggie Smalls and like Tupac. They were kind of like the like infiltrators of original hip hop, but like Dr. Dre is kind of what orchestrated everything. And like all the rest of the kind of the guys and girls, sorry, Mary J. Blige, that you saw like on the stage, it just screamed original hip hop. And I loved, don't get it twisted. Like I loved the halftime show. I thought it was really well done. Everyone was really good. I was so mad they didn't start out with California Love though, just because that's like one of my favorite songs of all time. And it would have been
played it.
They did. It was the second song, which wasn't bad. I really did enjoy it, but I will say, as someone, and like I'm the type of guy, I love stupid history things. So like I went back even before this and I like watched and tried to research like every single like halftime show. So I feel like I'm going to be more obligated to go with like what more of the consensus says, just because I'm like putting in like a lot of that research and like seeing what the best Super Bowl performances were. But like, I'm also a simple guy to where like, I loved when Paul McCartney, I mean, obviously I was never like, I didn't watch this live, but when McCartney played in 2005, I love the fucking Beatles, and all he did was perform Beatles songs and a couple of his originals, but it was just like him and his piano, his guitar, like it was sick. That's why I really like that one. And even like Prince in 2007, like Purple Rain's one of my favorite songs of all time. And when he plays that with rain going down, it just screams like fucking, it's amazing. And even like Michael Jackson's in 1993, it's crazy because Michael Jackson stood there for 3 minutes without moving because the crowd was just so like, was amazed to see him perform at this halftime show. There are a lot of great halftime performances, but I will say, I do like a lot of people, or you have a lot of people, it's weird, that are like, it's the best halftime show of all time. And I completely understand that standpoint. And then so many people are like, it was boring. And I have no idea where people get that from.
Oh, man. They are not cultured.
I'll ask you, though, who do you think was the best out of the 5 that played? Was it?
It was 6.
6. Okay.
50 was there.
Oh,
yeah. Well, as a Kendrick fan, I loved Kendrick's. But, man, that's tough. I did like when all of them were up there at the end.
That was
and it was mainly Dre and Snoop. I'd probably go with that part. But yeah, probably there.
Yeah, I loved Dre. I think the best part
Dre
was when
great.
It's just when he was on the piano. That was probably my favorite moment.
Yeah.
I had one other thing I was gonna say. Well, like in any regard, like I go back to like even the Coldplay one. I love when the performers at the end like join in together and they like do their own thing. Like I hate when it's like, and it was kind of like that at first, and I was hoping it would go away from it, but I hate when it's like this person will sing 2 songs, this person will sing 2 songs, then 2. Like I'd rather it be like you can do that, but then at the end come together. And I think they did a good job of that at the end, like with Bruno Mars, Beyonce, and Coldplay in 2016. They all kind of did their own thing, but then at the end, the whole thing was like, we're going to appreciate all the halftime performances in the past. And they came together and like sang a bunch of different performances from the past. I thought that was super cool. And they did a really good job of like all singing together at the end. I don't know. That to me is what makes it sick. And that's why like, I like when it's a lot of cool people headlining like today, but I also like when it's one person and you get to really experience them. Like The Weeknd was kind of all right last year, but I'm a huge Weeknd fan. And like when it went from Wicked Games to Blinding Lights, that was so sick. And like I love when it's like those moments for individuals.
Yeah, no, I understand that. And personally, I know you love the Coldplay one.
I did.
I think Coldplay was really boring in that halftime show. I just don't like Coldplay's music, but Beyonce and Bruno saved it in my opinion. When they do that fucking dance battle in the stage, oh, that was so sick. I'm sorry, cool. But that was cool. But otherwise, I can understand your perspective, and I love the idea of them all coming together. That's the best part.
You got to make a prediction for next year. You think it's Silk Sonic?
I think it's 100% going to be Silk Sonic. It's such a safe, like you betting Mariah Taylor. I think it's 1000% going to be Silk Sonic. I just am so sure of it.
I want to see if I can pull up halftime show 2023 odds and see if they come out with anything. All right, here we go. Who's favorite?
Maybe Lil Nas X.
Oh, wait, hang on. No,
I think that'd be a pretty solid one too.
All right, I think, let's see what we got here. So here are some options they say. These are really bad. What the fuck? I don't even want to read these off. There's BTS, like no shot.
That's not going to happen.
Billie Eilish.
I could see that.
Taylor Swift. Ariana Grande, which I think no shot of that. Cardi B.
It'd be pretty fire though. Ariana Grande would be pretty fire.
Megan Thee Stallion, Drake, Justin Bieber, and then here's the weirdest one, Dolly Parton, which makes absolutely no sense. I don't think there's like odds, but if I had to make a guess, I don't think this is going to happen, but I've been saying for like 3 years, it's like my safe if I had to make a bet. I think Ed Sheeran is bound to perform soon.
Oh, God, please no. Please no. He makes the most fucking Target music I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I don't know what it's going to be. But, yeah, I think that's all I got for the pod. Anything else you want to say?
I do want to bring up when we made our bet about what song Kendrick was playing. We both said Humble. I said in the chat right before it went live, Zach texted, he's like, Maria Taylor just said this was gonna be the greatest halftime show ever. What? And I'm like, if Kendrick performs Kid Mad City, it will be. Oh my God. He literally started and I was like, you're fucking kidding me. And then he went into All Right, which was awesome. And Kendrick made the right choice with the music he chose. That's all I got. It's a shame
he only got 2 songs.
Yeah, well, most people got 2 songs.
Exactly.
And Anderson .Paak also was on the drums, so that also helped my opinion a little bit.
Yeah, that was cool.
You're picking Ed Sheeran?
Well, I don't think he's going to, but I don't know who else. I could see Lil Nas X.
He cannot do it solo. There's no way he's doing a...
I think it'd be similar to like when Maroon 5 went. But Maroon 5
and Taylor Swift, maybe. I can
Maroon
see him
5 was horseshit. That was horrible. That was the worst halftime show ever.
That was bad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just have a strong feeling it's gonna be Silk Sonic. I don't know why, I just do. And
that'd be Bruno Mars's 3rd time at the halftime show
in the past like 7 years. So hey, I'm not complaining. Dude's a beast. He's infectious with a crowd. So I am all for it as long as they drop another. I mean, they don't even need to drop another album for me to want them to do it, but they probably will. They just dropped a new song yesterday, so
hype.
Even though it was a cover, but who gives a fuck? Yeah. But final thoughts for the Super Bowl, Curtis?
Thought it was a really good Super Bowl. Enjoyed it. Enjoyed the game, the halftime show, broadcast. It was a solid 8.8 out of 10 for me.
What was last year out of 10 for you?
Like a 4.
Yeah, last year's Super Bowl was miserable. It was just bad. Except for God, who did? Oh, actually, no, that was the weekend. Damn it. I was thinking.
I will say there were a couple. I think the weekend's halftime show was a little underrated, but it definitely wasn't like top 10 all time. Like James was saying, like, no.
I forgot about J-Lo Shakira. That one was fire too.
That one was fire.
That one was great. I thought that was last year for a second. I'm like, oh wait, no, that was here because I thought Chiefs.
That was at a really good stadium in Miami.
Yeah.
Like that's where they should be having it instead of fucking State Farm Stadium.
I mean, Raymond James isn't bad either. Like that was a okay location as well. SoFi was a fantastic choice. When the Super Bowl is going to be in Vegas next year or in 2 years, oh my God. The fucking books on that week.
I'm gonna be 21. I'm gonna have to go.
Kurt, you know what you just said literally at the start of this podcast? I said you were gonna have a logic retirement and retire for 6 months and then you'd be back.
It's more thinking of the beverages at 21 than the
okay.
Because I don't do that now.
Definitely you don't. No. For the record, you do not. Totally.
Last thing I'll say, this is funny. I was listening to Heineke. He was on the Pat McAfee show, and you know how Pat McAfee does interviews. He just says whatever the fuck he wants. Taylor's just talking about a season, and Pat goes, "Are you good at beer pong?" And Taylor's like, "Yeah, I'm good at beer pong." And he's like, "When did you start getting into it?" He's like, "Yeah, high school." I meant college. It was so funny. And everyone's like, wait. He's like, oh, no, because I definitely didn't do that in high school. It was so funny. But yeah, that's all I have. Guess that's all you got. Thank you guys for listening to Highlighted in All Sports Culture podcast. I think we'll be back Friday We'll have to see, though. If not, we'll be back next Tuesday for another episode, non-NFL related, which can be crazy, but loads of content coming to you guys in what is my favorite time of the year sports-wise. We got March Madness coming up. We got the NFL draft, NFL free agency. NBA is kind of coming to a close after the All-Star break happens. The Masters is occurring. There's loads of sports that we can get into, which I'm really excited about. So make sure you're staying tuned to All Sports Culture and the Highlight Podcast. Until next time, we will see you later.
Bye-bye.